The Orioles are acquiring Pete Alonso. We'll tell you what that could mean for the Yankees going forward on an all-new live edition of Locked On Yankees coming up right now.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in the country. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. He's Brian McKeon. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen every day. Thank you for joining us for this special live edition of the show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Brian, how are you feeling on this Wednesday?
Rushed, confused. The state of Major League Baseball is very odd to me.
Yeah. So we have some things to talk about on today's show. Gerrit Cole, concert pianist? Not quite, but I'll tell you what I mean in segment 3. The Yankees didn't lose anyone in the Rule 5 draft. That's good, and we'll tell you who they picked up. There are more Brian Cashman quotes to parse through. We'll do that in segment 2. But first, this was the biggest news of the day. Pete Alonso goes to an AL East team, but it's not the Red Sox. It's the Orioles. And the interesting thing is, the news came out on Tuesday that the Orioles had offered Kyle Schwarber a very similar contract. He went back to the Phillies, and Pete Alonso gets $5 million more.
Yeah, they pivoted quickly, and props to them on that. After a team that didn't seem to spend last offseason and it confused a lot of people, they really are going after it this offseason so far. I'll start from an Orioles perspective because that seems like the more fun thing to do at this point, and no one's really talking about it. I'm glad the Yankees are bolstering up their pitching, and I'm glad they're going to have one of the better pitching staffs in all of Major League Baseball because this Orioles team's going to score a lot of runs.
Oh, yeah.
Look at their offense when you add up Gunnar Henderson being there and Jackson Holiday, and then you add up the acquisitions they've already made compared to the acquisitions that they just made with Pete Alonso. You're adding, on a bad year, you're adding 30 homers and 100 RBIs.
Oh, yeah, Taylor Ward, too. Yeah.
Taylor Ward, who had a 30 and 100 season last year, too. So on a really bad Angels team, by the way. So
yeah.
you got two guys that are going to have guys on base in front of them in that lineup. That Orioles team is going to score a lot of runs. They're going to also give up a lot of runs. They don't have a lot of pitching. And I think if you ask them, if you go back to a year ago, they probably would tell you that they wish they gave Corbin Burns that money to keep him there because they need an ace at the top of that staff. I think they're going to be after some guys heavily, potentially Michael King. There's going to be a few names they're going to be really after because they need some pitching desperately, that team.
Yeah, I believe Dean Kramer is their number 2 right now.
Yeah.
Not that he's a terrible pitcher, but
that's not a number 2 name they need. That's a number 4 name that a World Series team needs.
Yeah.
Let's go to the Mets before we go at this of what this means for the New York Yankees. If you're the New York Mets, this is DEFCON, what is 5 the highest that they go? This is as bad as it gets, right? You lose Edwin Diaz, you lose Pete Alonso, you traded away Brandon Nimmo. That was on their decision. And it seems like all of these were kind of on their decision too. Diaz didn't necessarily give them another chance to match the offer. Pete Alonso just left. And the Mets didn't give him an offer, apparently. They were not interested. Once they found out, the Mets, that the years and the money was going over a certain point, they were not willing to dance on that dance floor anymore. And I'll say this. If you're a Met fan and if you're the New York Mets as an organization, that's embarrassing. And they still have time to prove as an organization that they know exactly what they're doing. Here's the thing, Stacey. When the Dodgers let a player walk, because they've gained all of our respect as one of the top teams in sports and one of the top run franchises in sports, we all kind of don't question it. Now, we all think, that's interesting to let that guy walk, or they traded that guy. That's really, curious. Corey Seager being a name, right? They either A, replace that guy suitably, or B, allocate the money in another spot, or C, they are able to get off the mat and they're okay with their decision. Everyone has the confidence that they're going to figure it out when they let said player walk. Nobody has that confidence in the New York Mets. And they haven't, to all of our credit, they haven't proven yet that they are the kind of franchise we can trust to go ahead and fix these mistakes. Letting Pete Alonso walk is a mistake. And from one other perspective that I want to give, we all know that classic story with Brian Cashman and Derek Jeter, right? Where Derek Jeter wanted a ton of money, and Cashman basically told him, go find it somewhere else. And then Jeter basically came back and went back to the Yankees. The story makes Cashman look good as a GM. I'll also say this. I don't think there was a chance in all the universes in the world that Derek Jeter was not going to be back with the New York Yankees. And the Yankees knew that. So you don't let your franchise icon, your great fan-loved player whose jersey everyone's wearing in the ballpark, you don't let that guy leave. And I think that's a lesson the Mets are going to wind up learning with Pete Alonso. Remember, they traded Tom Seaver away to this franchise. You can't let Pete Alonso is a fan favorite in that ballpark. He is. And he's hit the biggest home run in Mets history. And he also leads the Mets all time in home runs.
In home runs, right.
He's a franchise icon. There is more to this than baseball. Letting a franchise icon walk for 5 years at 31 years old. By the way, Freddie Freeman at the same age got 6 years. Not comparing the two players, but let's just put that into perspective. A player who has done nothing but produce for you, a player who has brought you into playoff on long playoff runs, again, has the biggest home run in franchise history, has the most home runs in franchise history, and from a team, Stacey, that all it does is flex its pocketbook and flex its credit card and talk about how much money they have. To let this player walk, that to me is a grave mistake.
So this means that they're pivoting in a different direction, and this could mean that they do still make a couple of big moves that they could make because they have the pockets to do it. So do you think they go after Bellinger?
I do. If Steve Cohen has proven anything to us since he started ownership of the New York Mets, he has proven that he listens to the chatter. He listens to the outside noise. And he is 1,000% hearing his fan base go ballistic today. Whether it's reporting you're going to see on SNY, whether it's WFAN callers that are going nuts, whether it's social media.
Or Evan on WFAN.
Bingo. Like, you know that he is hearing all of this chatter. You know that it's all going on. And that, to me, is the biggest problem here. If they want Cody Bellinger, and that is a big question, there is no reporting that they are aggressively going after him. It's kind of assumed they are because they need that position to be filled. Yeah. But there's no actual solidified reporting that they are going after Cody Bellinger. I will say this, and be cautious, Yankee fans. If they want Cody Bellinger, they are getting Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, because the Yankees aren't going to offer the same thing for Cody Bellinger that the Mets did.
And to the Yankees' credit, I think the Yankees, from the way they've spoken, do legitimately want Cody Bellinger back, like very badly. And that is their top target this offseason. Do I necessarily agree with it? Yes and no. That's a different discussion for a different show. They are going to go after him heavily. And I think the Yankees will tack on another year more than they're comfortable with. And I think they probably will pay a few more million more than they're comfortable with to keep that player because they realize how important he is to the middle of their roster. The Mets will tack on 3 or 4 more years. The Mets will tack on 3 or 4 million per year. They will do that because they are now desperate, and they have also cut a significant amount of salary from their team. They were comfortable paying that $300+ million. They just cut $30 million plus with Pete Alonso in that other roster. They just cut $20 million plus in Edwin Diaz in that roster. They just cut $20 million plus in Brandon Nimmo on that roster. They just freed up $70 million. Now I know to Pete Alonso, to Steve Cohen, that's ashtray money. But that's $70 million that they just cut up in free money that they were spending last year for a losing team. You don't think he'll spend $35 to keep Bellinger? By the way, that's a number that I think is too high for the Yankees' taste. So, like, I do think there is a price point that the Yankees will not meet Bellinger at. So, and it's whether or not they want him. The Mets might decide they want to go up to the big splash and go get Kyle Tucker. And then they'll give him whatever the heck Kyle Tucker wants, and they'll have a $1.5 billion corner outfield. That might be possible. But I will tell you this, Stacey, if they decide as a franchise that they want Cody Bellinger, they are going to get Cody Bellinger.
I really hope they go after Kyle Tucker.
So do I.
I do, because I don't want...
If Bellinger is a Met, then I hope the Yankees get Kyle Tucker.
Right, because I don't want him going to the Blue Jays.
Yes, I agree with you. And that, to the Orioles' point, that's why this bothers me, too, that he went to Baltimore. I really wouldn't care if he went to another team. The fact that he went to Baltimore does kind of perturb me a little bit because it makes the AL East stronger.
Oh, the AL East is scary already, and teams are still not making the moves that you think they're going to make. It's only December 10th at the moment. So
the worst team by far in this division, and this is not an insult on this team, is Tampa Bay.
Right.
And they're not even that bad. Really good. Yeah. So, like, be scared of that. The AL East is a very, very good division this year. That is a scary thought. But that is what bothers me in the whole thing. I honestly, my fear is the Mets go after both Bellinger and Tucker. As long as they don't I hope one of them goes to the Mets, and I hope the Yankees get the other one, because I'm comfortable with either or. Bellinger or Tucker is satisfying to me. I don't want one of them going to the Blue Jays. And if they're going to overpay for one of them to fit their team, have at it. Be my guest. If Bellinger gets 35 and it comes out that the Yankees were comfortable going to 32, which is a fine salary for Cody Bellinger,
yeah,
I'll live with that. I understand what the Yankees are doing. So let's all be aware and kind of read the tea leaves, though. You got to admit, when they cleared this amount of money and the amount of noise that's going to come out of Queens, they know they have to start making moves. So if they decide as an organization that they want Cody Bellinger, they're getting Cody Bellinger. He's not going to be outbid.
Speaking of tea leaves and looking into the future, coming up, we're going to look at more Brian Cashman quotes that he said today, because I'm sure Brian will have a field day with this. So that'll be coming up next.
Guys, NFL Sundays move so fast. One big play and suddenly everything can feel different. And that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. Now with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, defenses tighten up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump in on the moment. Now, live spreads, money lines, those are all available during the game, halftime, middle of drives, all available. Plus, you can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every single possibility during the entire slate on NFL Sunday. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets live all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Yankees your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Now, you already live your team every single day. Now you can take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today. Get Locked On Yankees with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month. That's $50 a year also. You can go over to lockedonyankees.supercast.com or click the link in our show notes to learn more, or click that fancy little QR code in the top right corner of your screen. You can get that QR code scan, and it'll bring you right over there. And look at all these things that you get. I mean, you can't beat it. The Everydayer Club, Locked On Yankees. Become a member. It is totally worth it. I promise you. Stacey, there are some quotes that I've been told are going to annoy me. Please, let's indulge.
Okay, so Brian Cashman had some more things to say. I was looking through the internet because I'm not at the winter meetings, obviously. So I was looking through Reddit and I was trying to find different sources for different things. So here are some quotes, not in any particular order, that I wanted you to react to. And since we're live, this is going to be fun. The first one I have: we have a strong team. The job is to make it better and make it stronger, but saying it and doing it are two different things. We're trying to pull that off, and it takes time.
It does, and I do think that they don't want to overreact to the market, right? Like, they want to be able to make their own moves at their time and be confident in what they're doing. Like, you don't want to react to what other teams are doing, too. So I do think the way that they're handling this, I'm not scared as a Yankee fan right now. Now, I'm a little scared that they're going to make it, status quo of last year and not try to add any additions. I don't consider, by the way, but, let's get in front of this. I think we kind of have, but let's get in front of this. I don't consider bringing Cody Bellinger back as an addition.
No.
I know they're going to paint it that way. That's not an addition to me.
Right. No.
So let's just make that known publicly. But I will say, them not doing anything while other teams are kind of doing stuff doesn't concern me right now.
Right. So here, I actually had this listed last, but let's make this second because this is an interesting quote. So Brian Hoke had posted this. This is Brian Cashman's take on his progress at the winter meetings. Quote, "We're just staying engaged, trying to match up with some things, but it's been tough so far. Don't like the asks coming our way. And I guess the opposing teams don't like what I'm trying to pull from them on the trade stuff. We do have some conversations that could possibly lead somewhere."
Good. It does feel like they're going to be going on the trade market, though. And you know what? That might be one of those things where they're really interested in Cody Bellinger, but they're acknowledging a pivot plan. Where in case he goes somewhere else, they need to be ready to make a trade immediately so someone else doesn't jump on that. So I do like that they're covering all bases here.
Here's the thing. Okay, so this is for you. I think we're opportunistic. We like our players. That is a fact. But there's players outside of our current control system that we also like and may very well like more and better because there's a lot more certainty there, which comes at a cost, whether it's a trade acquisition or free agent dollars. So it's my job to play on that stuff and try to figure that out. Now, let's add to this.
Mm-hmm.
He was also talking about Dominguez and Spencer Jones. And he said that a trade would have to make a lot of sense. And he said that if they're ready to pounce and change the equation, but if they're not, we like what we have too at the same time. Jason Dominguez is on his journey and Spencer Jones is just beginning his journey. Those are two names. So he put them out there.
I do feel like this is like a difficult quote to kind of analyze because he has to be very careful with his words.
Right.
Like they are clearly two players that one of the two has to be moved by opening day.
Yes.
Like you can't have one of them's like probably realistically ready to be at the major leagues in Spencer Jones. And one of them in Jason Dominguez is a major leaguer who's kind of blocked right now. So like they do have to find room for one of these guys to be moved just to get something back for one of them because you're just at this point you're just blocking them and they're not able to be major leaguers. I have a question for you, getting off because I want to say that like they have to be careful with these comments, very careful because you can't go out there and say we need to trade them because then you lose all your leverage.
Right.
You can't go out there and say we don't believe or we really do believe because you don't want to change the value like on the players. So you got to be careful. I want to ask you this. Would you trade Spencer Jones in the offseason based off what he did in last year at the end of the year? Or would you wait for spring training and hope that he has a Greg Bird-esque spring training or a Spencer Jones of last year's spring training where he hits really well and hits a lot of home runs in front of the major league guy? It will be talked about if his power is surging in spring training. And either A, wait for an injury on a team, or B, wait for teams to start to notice a little more, and then maybe you get a little more value.
I guess I would go for the latter, so you get more value back from.
Like I would think that waiting till spring training might make a difference here because I do think there's a lot of years there, right? Where when Greg Bird, because he was famous for this for whatever reason, he would hit like 600 in spring training,
and then he'd get hurt like a week into the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of years where when Greg Bird was trying to break into the major league level, that I'm sure they could have put him on the trade block at some point during spring training and probably got some decent value back for him. A young left-handed first baseman. And that was a period of time where they were trying to get really lefty, so I don't know if that necessarily would have happened. They weren't interested in moving him.
What a disappointment he was.
He could have been such a great player.
That I still think of that home run that he hit because it was such a big moment
in
2017, and just thinking about what could have been is so depressing.
Yeah, 1-0 victory in the ALDS could have been huge. But I think there's a potential for that right there. Like you let Spencer Jones improve and start, and it'll be a tough bullet to bite. Like I'm going to acknowledge that. Like, and I'm sure there'll be a portion of the Yankee fan base that's really upset if they move Spencer Jones while he's playing well in spring training. But you also have to strike when the iron's hot with these things. That's how you get the betterment of these kind of deals.
Here's a question for you. Right now, as they stand, who do you think is more valuable as a major leaguer to the Yankees, Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones?
Ooh. To the Yankees. I thought you were going to say like to the market, because to the market, it's obviously Spencer Jones because he hasn't, his clock hasn't started yet.
Right.
The Yankees, I think it's Dominguez.
That's how I feel.
I don't know if that's the right answer.
It's not by much though, but I feel like they already have Spencer Jones in right-handed form. They have Aaron Judge because that's basically what the comparison is. Where Jason Dominguez, you have speed. You can use him in different facets of the game. Where Spencer Jones, not that they do. They don't take advantage of it. But, if I were running the team, but
of course,
that's how I feel. I know people will come after me about that, but that's.
No, I don't hate that take. I don't. It's a difficult decision to make. Now, I also think there's a chance, though, on the open market. Now, Jones on the open market, I think, has more value because of the service time aspect of things.
Right.
I do think Jason Dominguez could bring back a huge package. just because of the fact that, like, again, 5-tool potential player, and he didn't put up horrible numbers. Like,
right. And if he goes to a team where there's less pressure, he could become, I mean, he still could become a really great player as a Yankee, but if he goes to another place where he's not put on that pedestal, we've been hearing about Jason Dominguez since he's 16 years old. There's a lot of pressure in that. And I think that if he goes to a different place, he could actually become the player that the Yankees think he or thought he was going to be when they
imagine what he does in St. Louis. Like, that's a kind of player that you look at and go, damn, like, he's just going to solidly put up a 280 batting average and just have 23 homers, 80 RBIs, steal 30 bases. Like, I can see him becoming that kind of player that isn't necessarily a marquee major league name because he's playing in the middle of the country, but is putting up great numbers every single year. It kind of does scare me.
Yeah. So here's one last quote from Cashman. We'll quickly react to it, and then we'll move on to the next segment. I think we're opportunistic. We like our players. That is a fact. But there's... Oh, wait. Did I say this already? I did say that one already. Wrong quote. Sorry. It's the next one. I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong thing because I did everything out of order. Yeah. Cashman says the Yankees operate as an aggressive franchise, but that it's not an open blank checkbook either. Said the Yankees already have some very large commitments that, we know about that, and that the Steinbrenners are massively committed.
I think they are. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think they very much want to win a championship. I think the Steinbrenners want to win a championship at their cost.
Yeah.
That is the difference. The Dodgers want to win a championship at any cost.
And the Steinbrenners want to, because it's hedge fund money.
And this is the key. They do.
Right.
They do. The Yankees want to win a championship at their cost. That's the difference.
Right.
Their cost is big, but they want to win it at their cost.
Right. All right. Coming up next, we have a Gerrit Cole health update, and we'll tell you how the Yankees fared during the Rule 5 draft.
Guys, I'm so excited. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Gametime app comes in clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Gametime, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open up, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Here's what you do. Pull up the app, and the layout makes it so simple to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. Then you pick a game, tap a section, and have your tickets locked in within minutes. There's no confusion, no hunting through the fine print. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event that you see with Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKED on MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKED on MLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Gametime. I want updates on pitching. The Yankees need pitching. They need their pitching to perform really well next year because the Blue Jays got a lot better offensively well, they're going to get a lot better offensively this offseason. The Orioles got a lot better yesterday, or today, I guess, offensively. The Rays are still good, and the Red Sox are going to make moves. So their division doesn't have a bad team in it. They're going to have to pitch their way to a division title if they want to win one in 2026.
Yeah. So when I woke up in the morning, I turned on my computer because I wanted to keep track of everything in case something big happened. The Alonso stuff happened, but I saw that Adam Ottavino was having a live stream because he has a podcast called Baseball and Coffee. If you haven't watched it, it's actually he's amazing. He's really good at it. Mm-hmm. But he had Gerrit Cole on during part of that live stream. And I caught the tail end of Cole's interview, and he had some interesting things to say. He's been playing the piano, and he's been playing the piano for a while. He actually learned how to play piano when he was a kid. Then, of course, he got into pitching and sports and stuff like that, but he still kind of played and he dabbled with it. And he was talking about how playing the piano was actually helping him rehab from his elbow surgery.
I guess it's building the strength back up in your wrist and your
his flexors and all that stuff from playing. Yeah. But Ottavino told a cute story about how they were on the road when Gerrit Cole first came over to the Yankees. And he said, I can't remember what road city we were in, but we were in a hotel suite somewhere and there was a piano and you just walked over it over to it. You started playing it. And Cole was like, yeah, I think that was DC, and it was Gardy Suite because, then they were going through like all the hotels that they stayed in that have pianos in the suites. Of course. Because, they stay at the Four Seasons in most of the places that they go to. So, of course, there's going to be a piano in Brett Gardner's suite because he was like the guy with the most seniority on the team. So he would get the best room.
It is so weird to think about Brett Gardner got the best room with the Yankees. It's just so like random that he would get the best room. Pretty cool. Have you ever stayed in a hotel room with the piano in it?
No.
Neither have I.
I have not.
I would never think that I would need one.
I don't think I've stayed in a hotel room with more than one room other than bathroom, bedroom. I don't think I've ever
stayed in a hotel room with an instrument that they provide a musical instrument for you. That's
those are like penthouse suites.
What's funny too is the piano Gerrit Cole is probably like doodling on in his house is probably like an $8,000 piano at like minimum. It's probably like gorgeous.
I believe he said it was a Yamaha. And then I think he said the original one that he was playing was something that he picked up. I can't remember the brand. He was joking about plugging the companies on the show. But he said that also he was playing with his hand or his arm in the brace, which helped him learn more with his left hand so he could play with both hands. Because I had that issue. I was never taught how to play piano. I started playing piano by ear when I was 2.5 years old.
Wow, that's impressive.
I would hear things on like American Bandstand, Soul Train, or if my mom was playing her albums and I'd play along to it.
Okay.
And we came back from seeing Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I had just turned 3 years old and I started playing the song that they play for the aliens on the piano. My parents were like, something's going on here. So I know about Cole not being able to use the left because I mostly used my right hand when I was playing piano. But I think it's interesting that he was just talking about, it actually helps me with my flexor. I feel better. So he's on track. He said he feels great. And, I was happy with what he said on the show. Also, if you have a chance, watch it. You'll see. Look it up on YouTube. It's Baseball and Coffee. You'll see Gerrit Cole in the thumbnail. They actually started it talking about hitting as pitchers. They actually had a pretty long conversation, and Ottavino brought up some clips of Gerrit Cole hitting as a Pirate and showing him some highlights
that's pretty cool
from his career, which I thought was
pretty cool. Cool. I'll watch that. That does seem pretty cool, actually. I want to see that. Also, Adam Ottavino is a huge coffee snob. Apparently, like he loves like different types of coffees and stuff. That's where like the origin of that name comes from.
Yeah,
but he's a big coffee guy.
Oh, he was drinking it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was I saw this before we went live, probably about a half hour before we went live. This is about Carlos Rodon, and I thought it was interesting. But Joel Sherman said about Rodon, by the time the Yankees made the playoffs, Rodon couldn't even straighten out his arm. That's how bad the chip was in his elbow.
And he still pitched pretty well.
And he still pitched. Yeah. So that would explain the velo drop, obviously, and why he didn't look quite like himself. So anyone who wants to complain about Carlos Rodon, don't do it, because he put himself out there when he probably shouldn't have. He probably risked further injury, and thank God he didn't. It wasn't worse than what it was. But
that first year wasn't as advertised with Carlos Rodon, the Yankees. Since then, he's been awesome.
Right.
And I can't stand the hate that he gets sometimes, because he's been awesome for the Yankees. He's been so good for them. So, and that story should give you a ton of respect for Carlos Rodon.
Yeah. All right. So the Rule 5 draft, Yankees did not lose anyone in the major league portion of the draft. They selected a guy named Cade Winquist from the Cardinals. They drafted him in 2022. He's turning 26 in April. This is per Tom Kaczynski. He's a pitcher, and his season in 2025, he was split between Cardinals high A and double A. He pitched to a 3.99 ERA in 106 innings. He had a 23.9% K.
Rate percentage.
Wait, why is that? Oh, okay. Sorry, the slash is in a weird spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Walk rate 8.5 and ground ball rate 48%.
Probably what they're going for there is the ground ball rate, right? Trying to bring in a pitcher that can give them a lot of ground balls and develop that a little more.
Who knows if we'll even see him, but that's
probably not. Like, if this is the Cardinals don't have one of the top farm systems in all of baseball, they're trying to rebuild their farm system like literally as we speak. So if this guy was left available in the Rule 5 draft from the Cardinals farm system, probably not a great sign of how good of a prospect he is.
Interesting name though, Cade Winquest.
I don't hate it
because I thought to myself, I'm like, is that a productive outs name? Because they always come up with crazy names on their site, but no, it's a real guy that the Yankees picked up. So yeah, they didn't lose anyone, and the Yankees aren't really known for picking up many people in the Rule 5 draft either. They don't do that often, so at least they did something.
You do find some gems out of this, like it does happen. Garrett Whitlock being one of them. Like you do find the gems out of the Rule 5 draft, but this one's interesting. We'll see if he makes something out of it. He's only a AA player, so we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today to Locked On Yankees. We have a special guest for Thursday's show. You want to tell everyone?
Yeah, Bob Nightingale from USA Today will be joining the show to kind of give us I actually don't know as of yet if he is down in Orlando or not. We are going to be recording with him, and I'll find out if he's there at the baseball.
Oh, he's there. I saw a picture of him.
Oh, good. Then he's there.
Yeah.
He's in Orlando.
Yeah.
So we're going to get some news on him from the winter meetings. Plus we'll get some other like stuff on the Yankees, what's going on there, the Alonso stuff. We're going to be talking about all of it with him. Plus he is a member of, well, we all know this, but he is a baseball writer. He's the president of the Baseball Writers Association of America. So we're going to ask him a very important Aaron Judge MVP conversation, just to tie a little bow on that in the spirit of Christmas.
Yeah, so make sure you watch us then. Make sure you subscribe and follow us so you get all the latest episodes and updates from Locked On Yankees. And make sure you follow us at Locked On Yankees, all one word, on Instagram. And we have a question for you. Did Locked On Yankees make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. You just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we'll give you a code. Be the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. For those of you on video, we're going to send you over to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen Locked On MLB. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.